Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whichever location you are in. So today, just to give you an introduction about myself, so I'm Rishi Berry, and I head the sales for North India for Qlik India. And today, I'm gonna show you some of the brilliant product lines of Qlik which it has. And one of the important product which I believe has really changed the market and the game is the Qlik Replicate. So it was used to be an Attunity which we acquired a few years back, but now it's the new name is Qlik Replicate. And I'll go a brief about what Qlik Replicate is, and of course I'll also suggest you how easy it is for any layman to also work on it and get benefit out of it. So just to give you a brief about the replicate, so what it does is it takes the data from your source systems and move it to the target systems. It can be RDBMS, it can be data warehouse, it can be data lake, it can be any sort of database. And this is really simple drag and drop, no need to know a coding, which of course will be more clarified in the demo which I'll show you. But yes, these are some of the key features, and the major part which Qlik Replicate does is the CDC, which is change data capture, which means that without hampering the performance of your source databases, it can really read through the logs of your databases and can migrate that data efficiently to the other data sources. Now, looking at the other parts, of course, this is the website which I'm showing you. You can all go, and I'll also put this into the comment side of the video. But yes, so these are a couple of the sources that we really support. Of course, to get more details on the various support metrics, you can just go to this particular link and see what all data sources and targets are supported by Qlik Replicate. So a very comprehensive list of 13 pages which you might want to go ahead with. But really it helps you move this data, because usually the scenarios are, specifically when I talk about the SAP environment, it really very easy to move that data to some other RDBMS systems to reduce cost. One, second, reduce the efforts that it takes in the legacy systems to do the same kind of a thing. Then talking about some of the key features of it, or key way or the methodologies that Qlik Replicate follows is, of course, we can do the CDC, which I talked about. Of course, it also talks about how you can ingest the data into the data warehousing. And the third most important thing is from the perspective of, even if you want to move the data through the Hadoop environment, which is the messaging kind of a way, which is message encoded CDCs, that is also possible via data streaming products. So talking about the performance and scales, of course, it is a proven technology, proven ways, and of course you can still watch this video to see how we work on the big data and all. SAP I did talk about, which I'll mostly talk about in the demos also. So this is the overall architecture. If you look at, you have the sources, you even do the CDC or via batch process, use the Qlik Replicate and move it to the target environment, right? So is that simple? Yeah. So what I'll do is, and you all can do it, even if you are not from the IT, you can still do this. You just go to the free trial of this. So this is qlik.com/us/trial/replicate. You just need to fill this form. This is pretty simple. You register it. Once you register it, you'll get a link in this format, and you just need to open this. So what it does is it creates a sandbox in a real time for you, and but with a time limit, which is 3 hours or 4 hours, I would say. 3 hours 52 minutes are remaining now, because I just now started this instance, and you can test various scenarios here. One of the most important scenario is, of course, database to database application, which I can show you here. database to Kafka, which I talked about in the streaming phase, and of course RDBMS to sending it to the Hadoop environment is also possible within this environment. Of course, you get this, so I can just quickly open this. I'll just copy this user ID and password, which I need to enter, admin and the password, sign in. You don't have to store this password because ultimately after 3 hours, this will vanish. So if anybody wants to try this URL, it will not work. Please don't do that. You register yourself and do your testing, of course. So these are the various steps that you'll see, and it has a beautiful self-explanatory tutorial which is available, which you can leverage. So quickly, what I'll do is I would not go through all these things, but you can go through all this. But I'm mostly interested in these details which is required. So this is typical environment of Replicate, and here you create tasks which are here. Here you create the endpoint connections, which is source and the targets. If you have already had done some tasks, you want to import that, you can even do that. So let's begin with creating an endpoint. And first I'll start with the source. I'll create a new endpoint and let me name it as my SQL source, just to differentiate the names. I'll have to select the role as source, not the target. So MySQL, if I talk about, so yeah, so you have multiple options in the MySQL, right? You have MySQL stored in the Google or Amazon RDS. So I'm interested in MySQL. So these are a couple of things which will be required: the server name, the ports, and the username and the passwords, which I'll quickly copy it from here in the details given in the tutorial. I have this root as a user aid and the password. I'll just copy this quickly, right? Sorry, it takes a bit of time, but I don't want any security. I'll test the connection and the connection is successful. I'll save this and this becomes my source. Of course, I would require some targets to be also created. I will even do that. And what I'm gonna do quickly is again go back here. On the top, I'll set up the Postgres environment, go down to see the details of this database. My host is, okay, I have to just give the name. Postgres SQL target, I'll select target this time. Postgres, I'll select it. I would enter the details of the host. Then I need a user ID. I always recommend everybody to just copy this. Don't type it, otherwise it might give you a problem while creating a connection to these databases. There you go. Security, I'm not sure if it is required. No, it's disabled. So I'll disable it. Test the connection. In a few seconds, you get this, and now a target is now created. I'll just click on create. I have 2 targets. Now, in a similar way, I can even do the Kafka as a target or a Hadoop as a target. I can even do that. But to be very quick in this, I'm just moving with the simplest one, which is MySQL to Postgres. So once this end connections are created, what you need to do is you need to just create a task. A task can be MySQL to Postgres. Right. Now, this is something which is very beautiful in Replicate, which is either you can select a unidirectional, which is from source to target, or even you can select a bidirectional. So bidirectional would mean that even if your transactions are not committed in the source, or by any chance you misplace those transactions, you can get back from the target environment if it has. And of course, it's a log stream if you want to. So various options to have. So I'll say unidirectional at this moment of time. And once I have this, I will select full load and apply changes. and I have the other option like store changes. So this should be sufficient for this. I'll just click on OK. It creates a visual GUI for me for sources and the targets. Drag and drop the source and the targets in the locations. Once you have that, you define the source and the targets. You just define which tables would you like to replicate. And this is where I'll just first select the schema. I'll select percentage so that I get all the relevant tables. Once I have this, I can just move this to the selected tables part, click OK. Now there is a flexibility. For example, if I want to make some changes, for example, if I go to the managers, for an instance, I can even do transformations while moving this data from my source to the target. I can do transformations of various fields using the functions which are already there. I can use the headers, the variables, operators, various operators, and the various functions which is there. I can do that. So everything is possible while you are just moving the data from your source to the target. Now, once I have this, I'm almost done. I just need to save this task. And once this is saved, I just need to run. Once I run, it will initiate the task and it will move me to the monitor screen where I can even monitor what all tasks are doing, how much has been completed, what has been loading, any queue which I have, right? I get all the details. I can even, sort of, because all the loading was so fast that I just say this, and you see the throughput which I'm getting, 10,000 records per second. The volumes and the records are 11,401. So pretty quick. But at the same time, you might want to see the processing of the changes, because if you remember, while I was selecting this, I countered various things wherein I was able to just DDL applied with the better. So what it is now doing is, because I have opted for applying the changes. So for example, I did a one-time data replication from my MySQL to Postgres, but now I'm also modifying it real time. And in a real time, you get this information while it is getting transferred, how many deletes are there, inserts are there, and updates are there. So you don't have to even worry about the incremental load, which in many of the replication solutions which are available in the market has to go through a long process of doing this, right? But with Qlik, you can easily do that. I can just see the apply the throughputs, which is there. I can even see the latency, which I'm getting, so that I can even change some of the table structure, schemas, and all. I can even do that, right? So it's that simple. So what I essentially did was, if I can just go back to the tasks, I just created the endpoint as MySQL and Postgres. You can even add more, right? So nothing changes. So for example, if I want to have a Kafka as a target, let it open. So once this is open, you just need, and you have the step-by-step tutorial to just follow, and you just need to change all these information while creating those connections. And once the connection is there, you just need to create a task, which I have already done for you, this one, and you just need to mention the the source and the targets and the tables that you want to replicate. And the beauty here is, you don't have to worry about the structures. Now, when I talk about structures, all the schemas are automatically generated at the target end. And if you see that I've done nothing at the target level, right? I just defined, okay, these are the tables which I need to migrate. All the schemas will be auto-generated at the Qlik level. So this really helps you to migrate, and we have extensive I would say list of source and the targets, which you can of course see in the support metrics, which I showed you quickly. So I think that will really help you to ascertain that your data sources and the targets are really supported by Qlik. If not, just reach out to any of the sales account manager of yours, and we'll be able to connect you to the product team of ours, and we'll be able to satisfy all of your needs. Hope that was really helpful. I wanted to be quick because replicate is actually a very quickest way to replicate the data. And hopefully you love this video. And let's move to some other videos once I load them with some other topics to make sure that everything is in sync with the various innovations that Qlik is doing. So thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.